Hey, what's up, everybody? It's been a bit. It's been a while. I can't even zoom in my camera properly. Let me fix that. I hope you're all doing amazingly awesome. I wore a shirt today. I don't know why. But welcome, welcome. It's been forever. So, I changed my streaming. I realized I forgot to change the times here. I'm not streaming on Friday nights. Instead, I'm going to focus on releasing a video for you once a week. And Saturdays, we're going to stream at 10 a.m. So, I got to update that slide. But welcome, and great to see everybody. I have a shirt on because I didn't do laundry, and so it's like you have to you're like, oh, I'm gonna start wearing my nicer clothes now because I don't have any t-shirts and stuff like that. So that's kind of like what's up. Hope everybody's doing amazing. It's been a bit since streaming, so let me know how you all doing in the chat. Again, I know it's a holiday weekend and I'm probably not going to get that many viewers, but you know what? I'm still going to talk today about what I've learned building connections. I feel like when you're starting out learning to code and you're trying to get your first job, the most important thing, believe it or not, it's not just sending out 1,000 resumes, but it's building connections within your community and making friends that could help you find your next opportunity. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about what I learned about building connections as a self-taught developer, going from not knowing anything to, I guess, not knowing anything and getting a job. Well, I mean, I know a little bit, I guess. But today, that's what we're going to talk about. As people jumping in, say hello in the chat. Northern Chimp says, hey, Northern Chimp. How are you? I'm doing better. Thank you. I just, I'm glad to be streaming again. I got to get back into the groove of things. Been really, really busy, but I do have cool, exciting things to share. What do I have to share? I don't know. A lot of exciting things. Like I'm busy working, which is good. And also something that I started to learn recently, and I wanted to share that with you. But first, I want to talk about this idea of building connections. And by the way, I also want to make sure that I hear from all of you, so don't be shy asking questions and let me know how you're doing. So, yeah, so happy Saturday, everybody. This is amazing. And so, weirdly enough here, I'm just going to kind of share a few things here. I been using this thing called Run.js, and this is going to be sound terrible, right? But they reached out and like, hey, if you want, because you use Run.js, you could do our affiliate link if you like. So if you want to check out Run.js, you can. You don't have to. But I was kind of stoked. Wow, I got my first person who's like, hey, you use this thing, so talk about it. But outside of sponsors, I don't have any. So I'm gonna shamelessly promote the Not Null podcast. It's a podcast I do with Sarah, Kevin, and Bobby. We talk about tech. So if you like podcasts or you want to listen to me where I make stupid jokes that are not that funny, you could go ahead and check it out. Also, I just recently been really vibing to Web Dev Cody's YouTube channel, and he's also created this amazing icon generator. I just wanted to kind of showcase it here. But what's awesome about it, he also created a course on Gumroad, how he built it. I think it's $20. And again, I don't get paid for any of this except the Run.js affiliate. But don't click on it because I said so. But I just wanted to share Cody's course. I just wanted to show you the stuff that I share, by the way. I bought his course, and I'm not oh, hey, buy this course, but I don't use it. No, Web Dev Cody. By the way, everybody should know who Web Dev Cody is. He's amazing. I really love him. I can't spell. YouTube Web Dev Cody. He's so amazing, so awesome. And the reason why I'm actually talking about Web Dev Cody here right now is because I met him through my interactions on YouTube, and a while back, he was chatting with me via comments, and he's like, oh, by the way, if you're looking for a job, my company's hiring, so pass your resume, and I will pass it along. And so he did, and I was able to, through making a connection with him on YouTube, I was able to get a job interview, which was much easier than blindly sending my resume. I don't think I even sent the resume. The person that he passed my information to reached out to me, and I was able to get my first interview. I ended up not taking it because I didn't want to transition to using Angular, and I'm still all into like React. But the reason why I say this is because this is where I realized that it's far more easier. Well, nothing is easy. At least for me, it's far more beneficial. I can't say the word. It's much better to have someone refer you to your next job and position than it is to blindly send out your resumes. And so that has been something that I've always been doing. And so before I talk about how and what I learned from building connections, I want to walk you through how I got hired, because my biggest thing here is to always be honest with you. And so I've talked to many people that were like, I've sent so many resumes. I knew a girl, my friend's fiance, well, now they're married, his wife. She sent out 400 resumes just to get 5 interviews to get 1 offer that she took because for a good company. And so this stuff takes time. So I want to show you in retrospect kind of like my journey and how I ended up getting into the field, and how I've never had to send 400 resumes, and I'll tell you why. And let's take a look at the memory lane here. And by the way, I am some random dude on YouTube who became a developer, by the way. And let me share my screen here. And so if I could do this, by the way, it's hard, but if I could do this, so can you. And I wanted to kind of put in perspective kind of like my history here. So majority of my life, and it's more than 9 years, because after I finished my own business, I still was involved in like the martial art industry for a long time. But I started running my own Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in a Super Kids Karate school with my business partner, Jim. We did that for a long time. After I left that, I sold insurance, right? That's what I did. But while I was working, around like when I was 36, so probably like around this time when I was leaving, like maybe like 2016, I started to really focus on learning to code. And as you could see here, I ended up getting my first internship as a junior JavaScript developer at Fluid Logic. Now, people asking me like, well, how did you get this internship? And I'm going to be like straight up and honest with you. This Fluid Logic design company is a company that my friend started, and it wasn't even very successful, but we both worked together on it to build templates using React at the time, and basic JavaScript, HTML and CSS, whatever. And we didn't even have that many clients, but I did put this on my resume anyway, just because we actually did the work for it. But the way I got this opportunity is my friend worked self-employed, and he was on the process of starting this company, so I worked with him on it. Did it lead to anything? No, but it allowed me to put this on my LinkedIn here. Also, through networking, through teaching martial arts, I met this girl, Jessica, who owned a company called Greenwich Point Marketing. And they built a lot of WordPress sites there. And so after talking to her at my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school, I was like, oh, hey, like I've been building WordPress sites, for the school that I'm running. And I know you have a marketing agency. I was actually trying to learn more about it. Do you have any opportunities? And she literally said to me, she's like, hey, Paul, we're not hiring right now, but you could do an internship and you could, work with us and kind of learn as you go. And so I got my first internship with Greenwich Point Marketing, which was pretty awesome. And I worked there for a while, and it was literally doing the bare minimum with CSS, JavaScript, and very tiny PHP when necessary, basically tweaking WordPress templates. And then doing that in the internship, she was like, you know what? We need more help, so we'll hire you as a contractor. By the way, if anybody has questions, let me know in the chat. I would love to hear. I would like to keep this dynamic and give and answer questions that are more useful to you. Let me know if the music's too loud or not. I'll turn it down. Actually, I'll turn it down a little bit anyway. But that internship turned into a contract role where I worked and continued to work building WordPress website, but I really wanted to be a React developer. And so I started to focus on continuing to learn React, continuing to build my own personal projects. And then eventually I moved down to Texas. And my friend Jeff, by the way, who I started internship with here, he lived in Texas, and he invited me to Texas. And by the way, here's a funny story. While I was friends with Jeff, we had a mutual friend, David, which I'm going to tell the story. And if these stories sound like confusing, just bear with me. Will all make sense. So Jeff, who I had my first internship with, he was a really good React developer. And then at the time, like, I didn't even know React. I was more into PHP. And so I had a mutual friend at my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school, David, who was like, hey, I'm looking for some developers. I know you do PHP. That's not what I need. But do you have any friends that know React? And so I introduced Jeff to David, and they ended up starting a conversation, exchanged information, and then David contracted out Jeff to work on his company. And this story will make sense as we progress through this. I just want to talk about how this relationship building, talking to real people, has been way beneficial for me getting hired than just sending out my resume. But we'll get to that in a second. So anyway, Jeff and his wife, they moved to Texas, and I moved to Texas too, because I felt like in Austin, I would have a far greater opportunity in order to get a job. And so while living in Texas, part-time, I started working at the supermarket, H-E-B, so I could make a living, but, which is kind of funny. I'll tell you why in a second. But Jeff's wife, she was working as a product manager or project manager at VersaSuite. And so it's like, hey, Paul, I work at VersaSuite. They're looking for React developers. If you want, I could pass your resume. And so that's exactly what happened. She took my resume. She went to work the next day, talked to the owner, and she's like, hey, I know Paul. He's an amazing React developer. I don't know if that was true when she said I'm an amazing React developer, but she told him, hey, I know Paul. He's a good React developer, and he's familiar with the tech stack you're using right now, and I think he's going to be a good fit. And so she referred me to my first real dev job at VersaSuite. And so I started working there. I worked there for a year and 5 months. And by the way, very important, when you work with people at companies and you make connections, it's okay to ask for referrals and people say nice things, because social proof works better if you have people that you worked with say nice things about you. So here's Brandon and Avi. They both worked with me at VersaSuite, and because I was this was like literally my first job and I was a junior developer, it was really nice to have them say really kind words about like me and what I do, so I could share it on my LinkedIn. And again, I'm building connections with real people through networking, and also try to ask for referrals as well, just in case, because it's like I could tell you I'm the best developer ever, and you'll be like, I don't know. And if somebody, your best friend, says, no, Paul is a really good developer, it's probably going to be more believable. And I'm not saying that any one of these works in any particular way, but what I'm saying is that these are the things that I've been doing to kind of help me to get to where I'm going. And so I worked as a software developer, and this is why I started learning C# at VersaSuite. My next job, Red Hawk Research. So remember how I told you about my friend Jeff, with whom I worked my initial internship here, and how his wife helped me find my job at VersaSuite, and how I helped Jeff land a really big contract with my friend David. Well, my friend David works at Red Hawk Research, and this is where Jeff's been working for the past 3 years. And so once my React skills got to a level where like I could be productive, Jeff actually reached out to me and he was like, hey, Paul, like, we're hiring, we need a front-end developer at Red Hawk Research, and, I think you're going to be a good fit. And so because David already knew me, because I introduced Jeff to him, and I was kind of friends with David through our,
not like friends we hang out all the time, but like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school friends. We did Jiu-Jitsu together. We became friends afterwards, of course. But he was like, you know what? No brainer. So Jeff referred me to Red Hawk Research, and I got hired. Again, I didn't have to send 1,000 or 100 resumes. It's because everything, my whole journey has been through this process of referral. And I know sometimes it's not fair when people say it's who you know, but it is just the faster way to get hired is through building these connections. And this is why I want to talk a little bit. And again, I'll just want to finish up my whole dev journey first for you so you can understand. And then my final role, and this is where I work now, is Strappy at company. So I've been taking this course by John Smilga on React. And I started chatting with him via comments. Then he discovered me on YouTube. We built a relationship where we started doing podcasts together. John Smilga, Coding Addict on YouTube. If you go on YouTube and search Coding Addict. And this dude here, he's amazing. Has one of the best courses ever. And we used to do Power Hour. He does Power Hour weekly tips, but we used to do Power Hour podcast here and live streams, right? And so here I am. I started kind of chatting with him, and we built a relationship. And this connection with John actually led to me being hired at Strappy. And again, I'm telling you all these things because I want you to understand, whatever, if you like it or not, that it matters who you're connected with and who you know. Obviously, your skill matters as well, but knowing people and asking for referrals is way faster way to get hired just by blindly sending resume. Even Theo, if you watch his streams, had a stream a while ago where he talked about nowadays just sending resumes is not enough. And so I started talking to John Smilga. We built a great relationship, and then it led, and by the way, let me say quickly in the chat, hey Sharon, great to see you. And yeah, we missed the Power Hour. We're gonna have to get back to it, but he had a newborn, and he has 2 kids. He has 2 little ones. Got to take care of him. A lot of work. I don't even know how he's able to do everything else he does. But he's nursing. Yeah, exactly. He's nursing at the moment. But so this connection, right? Talking to John. So what he did, he knew how much I love Strappy, because I always talk about Strappy. I always build things with Strappy. He invited Daniel, who was a developer advocate at Strappy at the time, to one of these live streams. And so what ended up happening, we ended up chatting. We ended up having a good time. And by the way, here, it's, let me actually go back to my screen. And by the way, a lot of people are like, is Paul making all this stuff up? Listen, I make a lot of stuff up, but not this. So here's a stream titled Strappy 4 episode. Was this our 4th episode? This is not our 4th episode. This is like, maybe it was. It was one of the episodes here. And so that's John. That's me with my hat that I missed. I don't know what happened to it. And that's Daniel. He's a developer advocate. Amazing dude. Really love Daniel. But Daniel and I were talking. I didn't even think about applying to Strappy at the time. And then at the end, I was like making a joke. I was like, hey, like, you know, Daniel, since I now know you and you work at Strappy, I'm going to use you as my referral when I apply. And Daniel said, you know what? Go ahead, apply, and I am going to refer you. And he gave me his email. I sent him my resume, and now I work at Strappy. So why did I go through this whole history of kind of explaining to you how I work? Because I wanted to put out there, regardless if you like it or not, this concept of, hey, it's not just enough about building and sending out resumes, but it's about building connections and building networks. And if you're not building networks, believe it or not, it's going to be really hard for you to get hired. At least it was in my case. And so as you saw, all the positions, all my developer positions that I had came up from referrals and from connections. I've never had to send 100 resumes. So thank you, Lord. Please don't, please let my method to continue to work in by being friends, by being really nice to people, and then being highly likable, but also being good at what I do, making connections and getting hired, because I don't want to send 1,000 blind resumes, and you shouldn't either. But building connections is not easy, and we'll talk more about it, like what it is. But I want to like go to another example. So recently, I gave a talk at RemixConf, like 2023, and to me this was like a very huge milestone because I have too many tabs open. RemixConf. To me, this was awesome because this was like a big step. And how did I get here? How did I get this talk? And why? And first of all, I want to say, when I went to this talk, going to public events, it's super amazing. I connected with so many people, made so many good connections, and I met few people that I already knew and was acquainted with from living in Austin, going to a local remix meetup here. And I got to hang out and build a good relationship. And one of the owners of the company was there. And he was like, hey, if you're ever looking for a job, you could always reach out. Doesn't mean that they're going to hire me, but it's another connection that I have of people that I could reach out, which speaking me, I got to reach out to them and follow up. But I got this opportunity to do a talk. And so how did I go from being a nobody on YouTube who didn't know how to code, getting my first developer job, and you already saw my history of how and all the jobs I had, to being able to give this talk at Remix? Well, it's all about building connections, right? It's all about getting involved in projects. So I didn't magically went on there and was like, hey, I want to give a talk on Remix, because I was nobody knew me. Nobody still knows me. Nobody knows who I am, right? I think people at Remix are starting to know who I am, I hope. But by the way, if you haven't smashed the like button, you don't have to, but smash it for the awesome people here. And also, if you have a question or want to ask something, this is the time to do it. This is why I do these live streams. And the reason they're for subscribers is because this is something I want to do special for the people that support the channel. So if you want to leave a comment or ask a question about anything to do with connections and building relationships, let me know, because this is literally, I do this for you to answer questions. So if there's no questions, don't be shy, ask them. But why do I show you this? So like, because how did I get there from being nobody going to like a Remix Conf? So, man, like this is like so awesome, because this is literally showing me like that this stuff works it's not easy. It's not going to work overnight. It takes time. So let me go back to the slide here and start here. So we have me here. We have Can't See Dots here, and we have Brooke Libran. So Brooks, he actually, how did I meet Brooks? How did I get introduced to him? So he runs the local Remix meetup, right? And so I talked to this, I got interested in Remix. You could watch the whole talk. I'll actually throw the link if you could find it at Remix Conf. I'll throw the link though anyway if someone's interested. But you can watch the whole talk. I tell the whole story there, but I'm gonna kind of quickly run through too many slides open. But Brooks, he runs the local Remix meetup. So what I always tell people, listen, yes, you could go hang out on Discord. Yes, you could meet people there. It's really good. But start going to physical meetups if you're able to in your area, or go to online meetups and start talking to real people. So I started going, look, I've been going to a Remix meetup. I try to attend as much as I can. And when I first went there, I went there as just to kind of have fun, see what it's about. And when I got there, I was like, hey, I heard Brooks talk about that. Like anybody could give a talk. Anybody is welcome to give a talk. So I was like, hey, you know what? I want to give a talk. So as I've been going to these meetups, meeting people, making connections, I started giving talks. And after giving a couple of talks, Brooks was like, you know what, Paul, you actually, I like you. I like the stuff you talk about. You seem to understand Remix. You're really passionate about Remix. And so he connected me with some people with GitHub Nation, and they had a conference called Remix Conf EU, and I was able to get the opportunity to MC this awesome conference. And again, please understand, I'm not talking about this, look how cool Paul is, he's doing all these other things. No, I'm literally showing you the journey of how I got these opportunities to get there. So I hope you are finding this useful. And if not, let me know in the comments. But I will always kind of stand by what I say. Networking, building friends, and making connections is the fastest to get to your next role. And so when I got this opportunity, I continued building, projects with Remix. Like here's like one of my first Remix applications I made. And again, I shared on Twitter that I was building. I shared on Twitter what tech stack I was using, which happened to be Strappy and Remix. I talked about my code publicly. I shared it with everybody. And I didn't care if people saw it or not. I just wanted to publicly build things and talk about it. But this is the thing that I used to give a presentation. And so one of the Remix Austin, I did a presentation here. I gave one, I believe, August 25th. And it was like a lot of fun. Actually, here's another talk I did, and all these in my local remix meetup, and I'm getting involved, I'm building connections, and that led to me like being introduced to Kevin C. Dodds. And because I'm really passionate about remix, I really like remix, I invited Kent to Strappy, and we did a cool YouTube remix Strappy Kent. We did like a cool talk, and this was my first time meeting. My God, are you kidding me? This is the ads I get on my channel. How did I skip it? Skip it, dude. So here's me with like Coding Up 30 with Kent C. Dodds talking about remix. So again, like I'm building these connections over time slowly, and Kent is huge in the remix, community. And so finally, after my connections with Brooks, going to remix meetups, after building a connection and participating in Remix Conf, building actual projects with remix, talking about it, meeting Brooks, meeting Kent. There's another dude who actually my hero because he introduced me to remix, Guga, interacting with Guga on Twitter. And look, check this out. And I'll talk about this. He wasn't able to make it to Remix Conf, but I mentioned him in my talk, and I'm going to talk about that, why that's important. Because you generally have to build connections and genuinely care for people, and you should show respect to people that help you get to where you're going. And so Google was my first introduction to Strappy. And by the way, me and him also did a stream. And so look, I know I'm all over the place, but the idea is I hope you could see my story, how I'm building connections. I'm genuinely hanging out with people. I am involved in what they're doing in the community, and I give him credit for introducing me to remix. And so the point here that I want to stress is that it was a process. It took a lot of time, but this is how I went from being some random dude on the internet. Look at this. Let's go to my channel, your channel, right? Let's go, scroll all the way to the bottom here. And let me show you I think my first video was literally my best video I ever made. This one about WordPress. No, about getting started with React. I think I had another one. No, yeah, getting started with React is so old. It was 5 years ago. But look at this. This is how I started. Some random dude kind of in my car, not knowing about what the hell am I doing. And I'm trying to think about, am I too old to learn to code or not? And literally went from being that random dude to giving talks at Remix, and I'm still blown away. And again, I didn't get here by myself. I got here through all these connections that I've been mentioning to you. And so this is why I want to stress this out, is to talk about this concept of building networks, building connections, and how they're important for. And let's see here. Games Pro, is your YouTube creating content necessary for DevRel as a UG student is not possible for me since busy learning. No, my content's not about DevRel. My content is about breaking into the industry. I happen to work as a developer advocate at the moment, but I'm constantly building projects. And by the way, thanks for reminding me. I wanted to shout out. We created this awesome project. If anybody who's looking to try Next.js with Strappy, this project was started with Trisha, Daniel, and I. Now I'm one of the maintainers here, and I'm so stoked because we're up to 185 stars, and I'm really, really active here. I'm constantly trying to, if people find bugs or feedback, I'm constantly working on this and trying to make this project better. So check it out. It's an amazing project. If you like Next.js 13 and you want to see all the new features and you want to see how awesome Strappy is, we built the starter, and I'm very proud. And again, this is another way building connections and building communities. And I've met really cool people. I met all these amazing contributors that I'm now having a good relationship conversation around the public project that we're building together. But back onto this talk and talking about why making connections is important. And if you missed the first part of the stream, you could rewatch the beginning 2 times speed. But the idea is, I have too many tabs open. I got to close some tabs. Close this tab. We talked about that. We talked about that. We talked about that. We talked about that. And so here I am, like, gave my very first like talk at a pretty decent conference. And I love Remix. And by the way, if you're looking to build, I know I just showed you a Next.js project because Next.js is popular, and that was our Strappy official starter. But I'm like, personally, everything I build with Remix and Strappy. So if you haven't tried out Remix, definitely try it out. But I'm gonna finish up this talk soon, and if you're bored, let me know. Oh, thanks, Trisha. Trisha is amazing. By the way, the starter that I just shared, Trisha helped us out to build it. She built and did all the CSS for it. Really amazing that I close it. And Trisha is right there. She's a contributor. She also has a YouTube channel. Trisha, share your link to your YouTube channel so people could check it out. She did an amazing intro to Tailwind and CSS because it's her favorite. And by the way, she did this beautiful design. I really love it. And she's awesome. You could also follow her on Twitter. And again, this is all about building connections. And if you're ever interested in how to build connections on Twitter, listen, Trisha is the goddess of Twitter. I can't believe how many followers she has. It's amazing. But anyway, back to this idea of why building connections is very important and how it helped me to get to where I am. And one thing that I want to kind of talk about here really briefly is that, like, what are some of the key things that like I try to keep in mind when building connections? So number one, it's like, and I didn't add all the things, but never try to build a connection because you're trying to get something from someone. It's like, oh, like for instance, I'll use Trish as an example. She has like over like 44,000, I think, like a lot. She has a lot of Twitter followers. And I'm like, oh, Trisha has a lot of Twitter followers, so I'm going to be friends with her so I could use her as a entry point to get in touch with her followers and use that reach to do what I want. No. You will never get far if you're trying to use someone to get somewhere. So you need to, and I have it number 2 here, is you need to provide massive value first without any expectation of getting anything back, right? All the connections that I've been working on, I will do a bunch of work up front, and I will never expect them to be like, oh my gosh, Paul's doing all this work, we owe him something. No, nobody owes you anything. So the idea is you just need to provide value and share that value with as many people as possible and build friendships around. But you don't ever do things from this perspective, oh, I know Bob works here, I'm going to use him to get to here, and then I'm going to use that other connection. Bob is no longer relevant to me to get to that. No, that's not connection building. That's exploiting people, and that is wrong. But you need to provide value up front, and with everything I do, I try to go out of my way to give as much as I can to a point where they're like, oh, I really appreciate how much Paul is giving. If there's anything I could do to help Paul, I will do it. Another biggest thing for me, and this is why I have number 1, is if you're a developer and you're looking to build connections, you need to build in public. You need to share what you build. And so, and I'll talk more about it just like on this particular topic separately, but people need to see that you are literally interested in developers. So if you keep asking questions and keep taking without giving or sharing something, that I don't think that's cool. And so whatever projects you're building, build in public and share them. And even if like no one's obligated to like what you're doing, right? But just share it, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And sometimes like I'm on Twitter and I find an issue and I'll be like, hey, I'm building this thing with Remix hash, like whatever Remix, and I'm stuck here, and has anybody run into this problem? And you start a conversation, people talk about it. And so that's been like one of my biggest focuses, and this is why I have this YouTube channel, and I did a lot of live coding on this channel, not because I'm an expert, but because I want to practice it, but also kind of like really kind of showcase that, hey, I'm doing these things. I'm not just like in the side of living. And the most important lesson, it's part of like provide value, always give more than you take. You know, this is the most important thing. A lot of times you need to literally go out of your way to help people out. And you have to focus on making real, genuine connections, right? The whole idea is that you don't want to build connections just for your own personal benefit. You need to have it be a reciprocal relationship. And the people that I talk about coding with and development with, it's not like, oh, he got me help the job. You know what? I will go on Sunday and hang out with you. Let's go grab lunch. Let's go on a canoe trip. Like, these are genuine friends, and this is what you need to do. And make sure you always giving public shout outs. Oh, I just realized I just did that as an example. Not just only because it's a public shout out, but because Trisha is awesome. And I try to kind of always do that. And Trish is really good at doing that as well on Twitter. And people love that. And the more you talk good about somebody else, the more they will talk about you. And follow up with people. If someone helps you out with something, don't just move on. Make sure you be like, hey, I really appreciate the help that you did. And I do want to talk about the issue with being busy. I just randomly put this here because I remember I wanted to help so many people out, and people like blow up my my email, because I used to follow people who were busy and I didn't realize how busy they were. And it's like, oh, they must be stupid. They must not want to help me. And I realized that sometimes people are too busy to help you. And it's okay if you reach out to someone and you try to build a connection and they don't respond to you. They're probably busy. It's not that they don't like you. Maybe they don't like you, but it's probably that they're busy. And I took that the wrong way so many times. But now that I am getting to a point where I'm still, my channel super small, but I still get a lot of people like reach out to me. And sometimes I don't even, not able to get to people in time, which really sucks. And I want to help, but it is a thing. It's hard. And so what I would say is, if you reach out to people and you're saying, how can I do this? Or give me an answer, or give me this, it's kind of hard to help everybody. So if you're going to be reaching out to people, try to figure out some common value that you could provide that will benefit them, that will make sense for them to start a conversation with you. And this is something I'm trying to practice and do. And so, speaking about like providing value, always giving more than you take, make real connections. In my talk that I did here for Remix, I make sure to, talk about the things and the people that helped me get to where I'm going. And again, this was talk specific to Remix. And so I'm talking about people that helped me get involved with Remix. So here, like, I talk about a chance encounter with Guga, who I met by accident to attending a meeting where he showed Remix and Strappy together. I was like so amazed. I talked about, how I met Brooks, going to meetups and building relationship, and how awesome it was for me to feel to be part of the community where, I felt welcome as a complete noob to Remix. It gave me opportunity to practice speaking, building, and he was just such an awesome person. And like I mentioned in the early part of this video, how this led to making genuine connections with Brooks, that he felt really comfortable. And by the way, here's the thing I want to tell you here. Let me just show you something. This is kind of interesting because this proves my point. And let me just say here, my jazz journey says, making genuine connections is probably one of the best things you can do to advance your career, 100%. And I want to show you something. Let me go to open link a new tab, Remix Conf here. And where's Brooks talk? Where's Brooks talk? Brooke, where is he at? Where's he? Here he is. So Brooke, he gave a talk about building connections and meeting people. And by the way, he works as a developer at HEB. This is the company where I worked. I didn't work as a developer there, but I worked there as a personal shopper while I was trying to get a job in Texas as a developer. It was a small, funny world. But here's the thing is, so I talked about him in my talk. He talked about me in his talk. And again, he's talking about this concept of building connections and growing together. And I thought that was pretty awesome because it's exactly what it is. It's meeting cool people, learning and caring for what they do, giving as much and providing as much value as you can. Like, for instance, like if you search Paul Breslavsky on YouTube, probably don't, but you will find some of my talks that I gave on, Remix. Like, here's one talk. They have like the full, oh my goodness. Yeah, so I think this was like my very first talk I did. And like the funny part about this talk is that it had too many cute animals pictures. I don't know. But yeah, so I basically started presenting, giving talks at meetups, building these relationships. So it's never ask. It's provide value, have a mutual goal that you're trying to achieve. But it was kind of cool. Like, to have him give the shout out back. And as I continued through, my remix journey, like I'm again giving credit to all the people that helped me out. I got in touch and did a talk with Kent. Again, I give Kent a shout out, right? And so the idea is I'm not aware. So here's real talk here, real talk. And this is probably going to be, and we'll do some Q&As. Again, please ask questions if you have them, because I do want to make sure that if there's something unclear about what I'm talking about, I am able to help you out. Here's a question that I missed. Let me go back here. If BK is still here. Is he here? How come I don't see his comment? What the hell did it go? BK. Oh, yeah. Should I use templates for my projects on my portfolio and rebuild the app? So one thing I would say, BK, before I finish up the stock, is that when you're starting out, you should learn CSS for sure. And once you understand CSS, you don't have to, from scratch, write CSS all the time. Once you learn it, you should move on. And a lot of times, like the reason I use templates or Tailwind is because I want to focus on less time writing CSS and more time writing JavaScript. So 100%, once you understand Tailwind, or I'm not Tailwind, once you understand CSS and Sass, go ahead and use templates so you could focus on other things in production. And so, yeah, that was really good. So to finish up, like, and this might be like a hard pill to swallow, but the reason why I wanted to share my journey and talk about how building genuine connections has helped me progress in my career versus just building things and blindly sending resumes is because I want to be completely open and honest with all of you and tell you, knowing someone is way better than sending 1,000 resumes, and it will get you to where you're going way faster. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, and building connection is hard. You have to go out of your comfort zone, but this is something that you have to practice and do. And so a lot of times people will say stuff like, man, how did that guy get hired or that girl got hired? They don't know what the hell they're doing. But the point is that they just are publicly out there. They're building connections. And even maybe they might not be as good as a developer than you, but they're eager to learn. When they get hired, they do everything they can to continue to grow in the company that they are. And so if I leave you with anything, is with this idea, hey, if you're looking to get hired, if you're looking to grow your career, build genuine connections with people that do the same things you do, right? And that will help you to open up doors. And coming back, to everything that I talked about, for me, this is something that has been working, and this is something that I'm going to continue to do. And this is why I wanted to share that with you. So to summarize, if you're looking to get hired, continue to send out the resumes, continue practicing for interviews, continue building projects. But more importantly, start building friends and network and building connections with people with whom you could reach out to and be like, hey, I'm looking for this type of job. Do you know any opportunities available? And if they are, they will definitely let you know. And 100%, Trish, thank you. It's really hard, but very rewarding to network out of genuine interest, 100%. And those are the type of things that you can't fake, right? If you're building connections on genuine connections and interest, like you can't fake that, and you're going to have easier time. A lot of times, like you think of like the sleazy salespeople where they try to tell you what you want to hear just so they could get something from you. That's really hard to keep up, right? So the lesson here is to continue building genuine connections, networking, and growing with the community. And so if you have any questions about how to do that, you could ask them now. If not, you could let me know in the comments. And my alarm is ringing. This is annoying. I hope you don't hear it, but I'm going to quickly finish up here. So I recently did a video that I want to challenge you to check out on my YouTube channel. I'll tell you what it is in just a second. I'll put it in the link here. One second. Because this is something that I learned recently, because I recently started to manage our open source Strappy starter that Trish and Daniel and I worked on together. And what I've been learning from it, and let me kind of share here, and you could check it out at Strappy Next Corporate Starter. I'll throw the link here, by the way, if you like. But what, like, surprisingly, like, I've been actively participating in this, managing this. We're up to 185 stars, which is amazing. But what I realized sometimes, like getting involved in open source projects is very difficult because you may not know enough about that open source project. So maybe not at the level like this, but you could start building your own personal project, make it open source, and engage with the people on GitHub, while doing issues. And of course, and I'll recommend the video that I wanted to kind of share. It's this one, how to build developers experience with open source projects. Definitely check it out. I'll put it in the link here. But you can build connections in so many different ways. And one is building a project together and working as a group. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to figure out and if you want, you could let me know in the comments what type of project you want to build. But I want to find a project for Coding After 30 that we could all involve as a community. Most likely going to use Remix and Strappy. Yeah, listen, don't hate me. That's just my two favorite things to do. But if you want to participate in it, I'm going to make it open source and we could all build things together and build relationships and connections around them. But I suggest that you do that with your own projects as well. So I don't see any questions. And I know depending where you live, this is a holiday weekend. And, so I totally get it. And if there's no questions and people are kind of like, we heard you talk too long. You're boring us and making us sleepy. I get that. But anyway, I am going to be streaming every Saturday, 10 a.m. U.S. Central Time. The reason why I had to change my time is because I started volunteering at my local Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school, teaching wrestling and judo. And so that kind of would make me late for that class. So I had to switch my time. By the way, this is another cool thing. Because I have to now build these lesson plans, I was like, man, I really don't want to manage lessons manually. So I created like a quick app with Strappy and Remix to be able to manage my lesson. But anyway, it's who cares? No one cares. But I care that you all have an amazing day. I care that you all continue to grow in your life. And if anything I say doesn't make sense, you can always ask questions, always reach out in chat here and let me know. And please understand, like, if you have doubts, oh, Paul, I feel the imposter syndrome every day really hard because of where I came from. Like I started to learn to code 35, 36. I got my first real job at 39 with VersaSuite, and I'm 43 now. So it's still all I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I get here? But the reason why I did the YouTube channel is because watching other people talk about how it takes 3 months to learn to code and get somewhere, it's BS. It doesn't take 3 months. It takes a long time. It takes dedication. It takes networking. It takes building connections. And I got sick and tired. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to do this thing. But let me start this YouTube channel so I could at least have proof of either of my success or my failure. And so if you take a look at my YouTube channel, scroll all the way down, watch the first 3 videos to be like, dude, this dude literally had no idea what he was doing. And now you see me here and you're like, wow, look at this guy. He seems successful. I'm still at the beginning of my journey. I still don't know what the hell I'm doing. But the reason why I do these streams and talk about this is because I have a record of going from in my mid 30s and my late 30s getting my first job, from not knowing anything to switching career. And God damn it, was it hard. But it's still, I would never change anything. And now you could see me going from some random dude to being some random dude that's giving talks at conferences. And I'm not saying this to be like, look how cool I am, but be like, oh my gosh, Paul's just a regular dude who was old. So if you're younger than I am, if you're older, it doesn't matter. What matters is that he didn't give up. He continued his journey, and I could see the progress he made. And I'm openly sharing that with you because I want you to kind of know and see that, hey, it is possible. You can do it. It just takes a lot of hard work. And any tips that I could share, any mistake that I could share so you don't have to do it, I will do it. And with that being said, because my alarm clock in the back is telling me I got to go, which I should have had my phone on my desk so I could get up and turn it off. But anyway, with that being said, keep on doing what you're doing. Without you, this channel would not exist. So thank you so much. If I had a like button to smash for all of you amazing folks in the comments and watching and supporting the channel, I would. So like for you. And most importantly, continue to do what you do. I want you to reach all your successes, all your goals. I know that everybody has different challenges, but we're here together as a community to move forward. And with that being said, I hope you all have a great weekend with your family, wherever you are, morning, evening, nighttime. Love you all, and we'll see you in the next stream. Take care.